Hello, Tabby Cat here with a second video, social injustice topics, and this one is going to be called People Who Wish They Were Born Another Race, the Power of Illusions. Okay, so this one is going to start off with, while race and ethnicity share an ideology of common ancestry, they differ in several ways. Ancestry refers to country. Race is unitary. You can have one race but claim multiple ethnic affiliations, such as Cuban, Japanese, or Irish. All right? But you can essentially be black or white, such as myself. I am Puerto Rican and I am also Native Cherokee Indian. All right, and then when you have to fill out applications, they want to know if you are Latino or Hispanic, but then they consider Puerto Ricans of whites or Caucasians, and then the Mexicans are Hispanics. So that's the differential, which we'll get into that as well. So race, which it gets into it right here, race is socially imposed and hierarchical. There is usually always inequality built within the system. You have no control over the race you are born into. It is how you are perceived by others, okay? For example, my father is Latino and African American, but he was adopted when he was 6 years old by an Irish and an English couple. And that is the history and the foods and the country that he is ethnically raised and related to. But in the US, he is treated racially based on his Latino and African American race, because that's what people perceive him to be, not based on the Irish and the English, which is what he's accustomed to and what he was raised on. Okay? And it's not that he doesn't it's not that he doesn't dislike his race that he was born into. It's just he doesn't relate to that. That's not how he was raised. His parents didn't know anything about his Latino and African American race. They raised him on the race that they were familiar with, which was their own culture. And so that's what he grew up knowing. So a good man named John Chang stated, most people associate race with biology and ethnicity with culture and language being a part of it, okay? He states ethnicity isn't just membership. It is associated with geographic regions and confused with nationality. All right. The most powerful statement that he made was the difference between ethnicity and race that people forget when speaking of this subject is race becomes institutionalized with a profound social consequences on members of different groups, in which we see this each and every day just by turning on the news, how different members of races, just by walking into different institutions such as the prisons and the jails, are grouped together, and you can see the majority of which races are institutionalized, okay, and who are locked up. All right. Now, there is a term called racial microaggression. All right, so here's an example. We have two colleagues, okay? We have one Asian male colleague and one African American male colleague. They both board a plane at the same time, and they're told by the flight attendant to sit anywhere you like, front to back, middle, it doesn't matter. You have the right to choose wherever you like to sit, wherever there's an open seat, go ahead and choose. You have that right. So the Asian and the African American male, which they're well dressed, they have a suit on, they make well-to-do money. They choose the very front third row of the plane right as you get on. Okay. So all of a sudden, right before takeoff, there are three white men that decide to come aboard. These three white men all want to sit together. They don't want to separate. So the flight attendant decides to tell the Asian and the African American colleague to please stand up and move to the back of the plane so that these three white colleagues can all sit together in the first class. Okay, so the question is being, were these colleagues, the Asian and the African American male, were they overly sensitive about being upset about being asked to move? Or was this flight attendant being racist about asking these two male colleagues to move? So we get into racial microaggression and aversive racism, okay? The examples are people who believe in and profess in equality but are unconsciously act in a racist manner, all right? So these are basically hypocritical people, whether consciously or unconsciously, they are doing this, okay? And so, like with this flight attendant, why didn't she ask somebody else to move? Why did she go after this Asian and African American male to move to the back? Out of everyone in the first class section, why were those two the ones that had to move? All right, so critical race theory. This was something that was that emerged in the 1970s and 80s as an analytical tool and approach from lawmakers to deal with racial inequality and the civil rights laws and the anti-discrimination laws that were passed, okay? So the question again, it's 2022. If this law was enacted in 1970 and 2022, why do we still have the same issues? Why is there still racial issues? Why are we still dealing with the same issues and racial problems? By now, we shouldn't even have to have laws, period. Like, all these issues should be dealt with. So, And again, the reason is because this all ties into those who wish to be born into another race, and those that these superficial approaches, these laws, were based on race formation. Black, white, Asians, it's all fixed category, okay? Race is not something that is fixed. It's unstable, and it's decentralized, okay? It's a complex social means, always by transforming by political struggles, all right? Now, a little history. Black was created by slavery. That was and always has been evolved ever since. Part of the word black stemmed from Yoruba in Africa, which means less than human and enslavable. Europeans moved to America and became white, so to speak, through the process of degrading and denying black presence, okay? So, a lot of those who say to themselves that they wish they were born another race, I personally can't agree or I can't agree and I can't familiarize with this concept, because I've always been proud of who I am, no matter what has been going on around me. I've never been a follower. I've always been a leader. And so I've never cared about what anybody else has had to say. I actually went to a school that was 98% African American, and it was in the poorest district. So I saw the hardships that people went through, and I saw the struggles, and I saw also how people use the systems through their kids. And I've also been an activist since probably elementary school. So I've seen a lot. And I've never personally met someone in my life, I don't think, that has wanted to change or be born a different race. Now, I can understand through this how they would want to be. Especially, being adopted and being raised through parents that are of different culture, and them themselves not learning their culture. That would be hard. But if you were raised in a home of your culture and your parents taught you who you are and where you come from, I feel that you should always be proud of who you are. And you should never forget that, and you should always teach your kids that. And so I would love to hear from somebody else who does feel this way, and does want to be born of a different race, to give their perspective, because like I said, I can't understand that. I do understand the hardships that the races go through. And I think some of this also stems from the last video with people hooking up with others for a particular race, for particular characteristics, just to have babies or particular DNA. But I don't know. Like I said, a lot of these topics, I'm just hitting on the main things just to get the subject out there. they really like go a lot deeper. So yeah, I really like was upset honestly when I heard this one, when the Holy Spirit put this one on me to put it out there, because when I heard this I actually got upset about it. And they actually said yes, this person actually prayed that they did not want to be born who they were. So I pray that they can find it in themselves to forgive themselves for saying that. And I pray that they can go to their family and learn more about their culture and see how great their culture actually is. All right? So I will see you on the next video. Thank you.